here with D-Dave Walters, who does so much. He's wearing so many hats this weekend. DM, player, panelist,
That is true.
signer.
Yeah. Basically
And-
all the hats.
Yeah, so many hats. I mean, outside of Greg Tito's hat this weekend, you've worn basically all the hats.
Right, you're right. Greg Tito has out-hatted me. That is 100%. Pelham has two. But
Yeah, oh,
besides
yeah.
those two, I believe I'm in contention.
Yeah, the hat master of the weekend.
That is true.
So I mean, out of all the hats you've worn this weekend, what's your favorite hat?
Oh man, I'm just happy to be here. You know, like this whole thing is crazy. I think I enjoy DMing the most. I think running the stream this morning was probably the most fun. But again, playing on the main stage last night, that was something I wanted. That was a goal of mine that I didn't think was going to happen, and it did come up pretty much at the last moment, so I was happy about that. I made it all the way through hell with 1 hit point, so yeah, that happened.
Besides your DMing this morning, which unfortunately local people can't watch it that well,
Right.
and then certain connection issues, so a lot of people didn't get to watch it. But like overall, one of your favorite moments this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. I actually didn't find out till this exact second there was connection issues. But we were on very early. We were on 8:30. So this dude just walked by. So this is a true story. This happened. They met a planetard named Harut, which is from Islamic mythology. And this guy walked up, who was our cameraman, and he's like, "My name's Harut."
Yeah, wow.
And I was like, "That's so random." And I was like, he was like he was the quasi villain in the story. It was more an ideological difference. But and I was like, yeah, I researched him because he's a fallen angel. And I'm saying to this dude that I'm like, yeah, you're named after.
Are you
Right. I was like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna stop talking.
It's been some weird coincidence this weekend,
Again, if he was anywhere, he'd be here right now.
Yeah.
He'd be like, how did you know my name? And I'm like, I've come to bargain. Yeah, right. I would lean into it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's wild that I'm in a place now where anytime somebody refers to me as like a professional DM is insane. But I'm in a place that I guess I do it professionally as much as anybody. I'm like I do it publicly and for money. Live the dream, y'all. And
get him his ducats.
It's true. Started from the bottom.
Yeah.
So I think anytime I get to tell those stories, anytime I get to advance a narrative, anytime I get to provide an experience for my players and hopefully for the people that are watching and therefore taking the adventure with us, it's a good thing. And more importantly, again, there's not a lot of people that look like us that are getting to do it prominently. And so I got to show up and show out for all of us.
Show up and show out.
Show up and show out, which is why I had them fight the Tarrasque today.
Oh, gosh.
Because I was like, we're not going to get outdone in this entire weekend. Like, we are all as a level 20 adventuring party, and we're going to fight the worst possible monster.
Y'all were at max.
Yeah.
Y'all are
That's how we do.
out. Okay.
That's how we do.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
But what about you? What's been your favorite moment of the weekend?
funny. I feel it's mean a lot of, especially the people of color who are in here, and just getting to talk with people and just like that constant reminder of we're here. We just got to show up and show out. Be visible. Let people who look like us know that we're here. That we're here, especially for like the rivals. They said they're open to being connected, as am I. Somebody lets me know they're person of color. They want some support, connections. I mean, while I want to say feels kind of arrogant in a way, but my star is still rising. But I am making connections in the industry and talking to people, so I don't mind reaching out and saying, hey, yeah, this person, they know this. Let's get you connected. And just that reminder of, well, yes, of course, some people, aren't that way, but it is about putting yourself out there.
Yep.
Like me, I'm very introverted myself, but it started in a big way of just helping out Tanya Pass at her PAX Unplugged, whose table last year, and I was like, yeah, I'll help out, it's a local con for me, so a great way for me to get in. And then I was talking to her. I was talking to various people who came by the table. Talked to more rivals people, and then just putting myself out there, especially on Twitter. Then other people that see me, they tell their friends, and it's just a lot about getting connections and finding people who are in certain spaces and who know you, or getting to know you. So that it's all about getting connections to bring more visibility.
It's a very highly relationship-driven system. It really is. I can't tell you how many times, just like a couple people hit me up over the weekend. Like, I'm looking for a new game. Just a second ago, I was like, "You three all asked me for a new game. You guys talk." There you go. Just the fact that I was on the main stage yesterday was because I hit up Tito and told him I wanted to, And at the time, it was they were booked and an opportunity, because a seat came open and he knew I wanted it, and it was done. And that was a byproduct, one, of knowing each other, but two, performing in having the reputation of being somebody who is going to be solid. Because the fact that it is such a small community definitely cuts both ways, in the sense that if you get a reputation for being solid, you'll never want for opportunity. But if you get a reputation for being suspect, a lot of those opportunities are not so much there. So I will tell you two things to piggyback off what you were saying. Yes, get out there, start meeting people, start engaging in conversations, start making connections, but also don't act too big of a fool, because literally everyone will hear about it and everyone will know.
Yeah. I mean, when you feel comfortable and able to just kind of put yourself out there, reach out to, the people who are there putting in the work, and a lot of us are willing to make connections for people.
Yeah.
I've said it before. While at times I don't mind being here in front of camera as a public face, my preferred role is as a facilitator, just making connections and helping people become visible. Mm-hmm. Especially at this point, of course there's a limit. I'm not gonna constantly bug you, like, hey, this person, but it's like, hey, I know B. Dave was talking about this. This person seems like a great person to do it. Let me try to maybe get them in contact. Or, hey, I know this person is they're starting this they're writing something. They need artists or they need editors. So I'm like, I know this person. Let me try to get them in contact. But at the same time, of course, on Twitter, always making sure that I'm retweeting and just letting people know.
And it all comes back around too. I mean, that's trying to hook up other people, again, not in a predatory "you now owe me a solid" sort of way, but genuinely trying to help advance other people. It all comes back around, and usually faster and more powerfully than you would expect.
Yeah, it can become a snowball effect of, oh, they got me in this connection. Now I've made these connections. Maybe they don't know about it. Let them know. And then even if it may not be right for you, there should always be the opportunity to pass it along to somebody who could use it. Mm-hmm. Especially for people of color and marginalized identities who don't really get as many opportunities. So it's
right.
Let me. We said on the panel with Mark there, he mentioned, opening the door, holding the door open for those behind, or the other metaphor of don't pull up the ladder behind you.
Yep. 100%.
So it's just, making sure it's a constant process of helping those who aren't being seen and could use the opportunities, just because it makes the industry and community better and more varied, and gives opportunities for people who would have missed it otherwise.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, again, if it's within your power, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I find people value that, because even if the connection you're trying to make may or may not work out, people appreciate that you tried to go to bat for them, that you tried to help, that you tried to solve a problem. People appreciate that. So Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game. It's all about community,
Oh
It's,
yeah.
because it's interesting because on a certain level, obviously it's always a social game, but that social game doesn't really have to extend past the people that are right there at the table. We choose the greater community. We choose to have these external connections with each other and the greater connections with each other, and to come together and participate and celebrate this thing we love and the subculture that we help create. And I think it's beautiful to be in a place now where we're working to make sure that everybody's got a place at the table, that there's room for everybody in that subculture. Because I think I said, when I was describing my show Theogony and Kairos when we went live, is I was like, heroism and villainy will wear 1,000 faces, and I hope you see your face reflected in one of them. And because I think at the end of the day, that's what's required. Like when we were talking on the panel, I was like, we need to see it all, but we need to see it all. Complete, thorough, three-dimensional, well-developed people. And sometimes you're gonna be good, sometimes you're gonna be bad. Like today, the villain in my story was a lawful good angel, straight up. But what he wanted to do was diametrically opposed to what they wanted to do, and that put them at odds. Even though he wasn't a bad creature.
Yeah, it wasn't straight evil.
Yeah, yeah.
It was, it's just that contrasted perspective.
I like that kind of thing. I like that kind of thing in storytelling. I'm kind of over the you're orcs and that means you're bad.
There's that lack of nuance.
Right.
And not all, but a lot of media stories, especially, yes, there's always room for that good versus evil.
Sure.
But sometimes it's just like, maybe two people just like they're moving from lack of information and come to butt heads.
Yeah, well, and I mean the good and evil conundrum is important, but I mean to me, I always portray evil, the good to evil spectrum is a spectrum from selflessness to selfishness, and that even the worst character, because I've created some bad ones. I mean, I was playing one of my bad ones last night. They still have a motivation that makes sense to them. The villain believes they're the hero of the story. And so if you've got a villain where you're like, I'm doing dirt because reasons, I'm like, well, then you've got a poorly constructed villain. I mean, they should have a motivation that from their perspective is completely valid. Makes total sense. The math all adds up. It just so happens to everybody else, you're like, yeah, but you want to kill a lot of people. I mean, that's why Thanos is effective as a villain.
Yeah.
Because his motivation, it makes sense. Like you can't necessarily, the pinnacle of this, of course, was Killmonger, which to some of us, may have been the hero of the film, honestly. But
there's that connection.
Yeah.
I understand why he's doing this.
Yeah, he's like, this is why I'm doing this. And when you start listening, you're like, I know why you're doing it too. Now it's weird. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that the extent to which, and that is still so I was going to say representative of, but I guess it's representative of why representation matters, is that you can only tell those stories with those characters like Killmonger when you've introduced that point of view to the narrative. And you can only introduce that point of view to the narrative when you've got someone who possesses it, and you see these things, develop as a byproduct of that, which is beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. I still understand that. What do you see, maybe things would be better? What would you love to see for next year?
Last year, I really loved the immersive experience of being in Waterdeep. I really enjoyed being in the city, walking through the streets. I get that the game playing element of it was important, but I feel if there's a way they could cross that somehow to get more of the you are there feel, while still being able to play the game and have the experience. I think that would be optimal. But I mean, it's as long as they're trying, as long as they're experimenting, as long as they're still making moves and doing things, I'm for it.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you for sitting down, talking with me. B. Dave Walters.
Yes. If you see me, holler at me.
Hat Master of the weekend outside of Greg Tito
third
and
place.
Ryan
Strong third. Strong third. A bronze medal is still an accomplishment.
Yeah. I mean, better than everyone else.
That is true.
So yeah,
All right.
D. Dave Walters.
Stay black, y'all.
Like.